Walt Disney World, you know, the happiest place in the world, is rolling out its latest DEI initiative in the form of personalized pronoun pins for theme park employees. Woo. The program currently being offered to all employees within the custodial department, however, it is expected to expand to all departments across the park in the very near future. A form shared with park employees stated, "We are excited to introduce pronoun name tags in your area." Woo. Pronoun name tags help us understand each other more and bring a positive impact within our community. Disney World traditionally catered to children. However, the parks have seen a significant demographic shift in recent years as Disney adults begin to frequent the amusement park. Yeah, that's what they've got going on now. As the average age of visitors has increased, Disney has begun to transform its brand from the once beloved family-friendly entertainment to woke ideology and propagandized, sexualizing messaging. From TPUSA, we've got, good Lord, Anthony Hopkins. Proctor died on me, Anthony. Sorry about that. How are you, Anthony?
It's okay. It happens. I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. What do you make of this? This is just foolishness. Foolishness it is.
Well, of course it's foolishness, because now you're literally training people to not know basic science and all of these things that people are now trying to aid the quote unquote, marginalized minority of people that have more red tape protecting them from all of this nonsense, is making people more confused. Because when you look at a man and you see they, them, now it's confusing you and confusing a lot of kids and everything from the time that you saw a male fairy now taking kids through Disney parks. But they're not the first people to do it. Alaska Airlines was the first place to have pronoun pins for their flight attendants and pilots. Then Southwest Airlines got on board. Then United Airlines started having pronoun pins. And then Virgin Atlantic started having pronoun pins of she, they, thems, and all of those other confusing pronouns that most people, based off of common sense, could tell you what you are from just looking at you. And so all of these things right now is just a mask of all of these people who are confused, that want to be identified and seen as something that they naturally and scientifically cannot do it with common sense. And to do so is now confusing more people, to that when you look at basic people around you that you interact with every day, now instead of going what you naturally go into, it's causing more confusion, all in the name of inclusivity, which if it was inclusive, it would bring less confusion and less chaos. But with all of this DEI that you see across the nation, you see more people confused, more people twisted, more people mentally deranged, and more people that are just psychotic, and all of these things that they're now trying to make normal.
Why am I required to play along with mental illness? That's really my question, Anthony. But here, I just, anybody that's watched this program for any period of time knows what my pronouns are. You ready? It's Your Majesty, although Your Highness can be substituted properly in the appropriate setting. But that's, and so when I'm in the court of law, Your Majesty, Mr. Gruber, that's what I want to have said by the judge, because a lot of the courts around this planet are doing that too, around the country. Pronoun requirements. I mean, this is just abject stupidity, isn't it?
Of course it is, because it's not normal. Every single person who was born and raised as a boy or a girl knows what they are, because that's just naturally what you are. Now to try and confuse people, especially young kids, and Disney, this is another thing that they're now trying to do to marginalize a community that they see literally tanking everything that they attach, which makes no sense to us, because when we've watched Disney these past couple of years, when the silent majority have spoken out, from the same-sex kiss that was in the Buzz Lightyear movie to the banning of Snow White now that was then put out there, and now the actress got fired, and now the whole movie series of Snow White has to be reshot and redone, to now the whole things of where it's bad to put dwarfs in films and everything else. Disney has proven in the past 5 years that every time they try to take a stance in the name of some ideology that is for more inclusivity, it tanks. And this isn't going to help anybody. If anything, it's going to see more people now pulling out of their parks, unsubscribing to Disney Plus, all of the things that the silent majority, when we actually speak up and actually take a stand together, actually make an impact on a lot of these big conglomerate companies that for the longest time have had a big grip on society because of through their imagination and creativity. Now trying to mix fantasy with reality, they're seeing the differences of that.
But there's a backlash, isn't there? I mean, you look around, and I'm going to point to a couple of things I've seen in the polling for presidential politics just in the last 7 or 10 days. I see a shift of Hispanic voters who are pretty conservative oftentimes, shifting to the right. I see a good portion of black voters shifting to the right because they're conservative, because they believe in faith and family and America. And And look, you can only have so much of this filth, garbage, and failure before they say, wait a second. Well, why am I voting for Democrats? They don't align with what I believe about my family or my faith or my gender, for that matter. You don't get to spin a wheel and say, oh, I'm ZIE. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's a combination of letters that's absolutely meaningless. And I think that it has political ramifications. I'll give you the last word, Anthony.
All I'm going to say is that everything that is evil always implodes on itself. And people who decide to do the right thing, there's always a smaller number of us that take a stand to actually move forward in the right direction. And you don't want to be the people that when things explode and fall apart, that you get lost in the chaos and the rubble. You want to be the very few that when the foundations of what you believe at your core and the morals of what you believe are shaken, you want to be one of the very few that are standing.
Yeah. I appreciate you being here, and you're right about what you just said. We'll put an exclamation point on that and leave it. Anthony, thank you, and have a happy Thanksgiving next week.
You as well.
All right, there you have it. All right, we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, Peter Jaluli will be here to share some tips on how to travel smart this holiday and how to prepare accordingly. Stick around. We'll be back on AVL.